Then when you look up at the object, then naturally feeling will arise. It's very difficult to stop them. You can't stop the craving that arises from the feelings, but the feelings themselves, they arise naturally. They arise naturally. We are pleasant and unpleasant. So you shouldn't try to avoid, of course, and these feelings, you know that they're actually coming naturally. So that leads to the third factor here is more the attitude and acceptance, because the feelings arise naturally. Then have this kind of acceptance and the proper attitude, right? And accept them, not, of course, trying to avoid them, but accept, having that attitude of acceptance. And the fourth factor here is to investigate into the impermanence nature. Yes, the impermanence nature of feelings or emotions, instead of labeling that, okay, I feel depressed, or I am an angry person. Because by the time you say I'm an angry person, then you are fixating yourself, and then you kind of believe that that's what you are actually. But this is just changing phenomena, changing all the time, and it's passing. And but if you get fixated on it, then it becomes a problem. Actually, they have done an experiment whereby they have written something on a T-shirt of people. I'm greed. Depressed. I'm this. Then people started to feel that, oh, maybe I'm a very depressed person, because now they are identifying themselves with that kind of a difficult emotion. So this self-labeling is discouraged. Yes, you just know that, okay, it's changing. So in other words, this is what we see in Buddhism. So everything is changing. It's not fixated. So that's the fourth one. So now, in the next session, we are going to deal with this Buddhist perspective properly, without mixing a lot with Western concepts. Of course, there will be similar Western concepts, but here we are going to really discuss on healing from difficult emotion in Buddhist perspective, where we're going to talk about four ways to heal from difficult emotion, drawing from the four foundations of mindfulness, the 5 ways of healing from difficult emotions, from Vitakasantana Sutta, and 7 ways of healing. And this is the Sabha Sutta, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the 4 Brahma Viharas. So that's where we are going to start when we come back. And let me see, we'd like to have a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back again. So I would like to ask the moderator to really give us a break, and we'll come exactly after 10 minutes. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and the moderator can come on, tell us what's next. I would like to invite the moderator.
Venerable sir.
Yes. Or you want me to continue? Do you want me to continue, or we have a break for 10 minutes?
Maybe we were not planned to have a break earlier, Venerable, but maybe if it is really needed, shall we make it shorter for 5 minutes, Venerable? Is that okay?
Yeah, 5 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do a break for 5 minutes, eh?
Okay, thank you, Venerable.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a break for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Dear all, stay connected. Venerable will start the session in 5 minutes.
Yes, yes.
Also, like, if you have anything, so you can discuss until Venerable Sir is coming. So if you have any issues, anything, so we can discuss.
I would like to add something, sir, according to my knowledge and everything.
Yes.
Anyway, today it was very worthy for us to add something to our knowledge and to recall whatever we have studied already. So, anyway, sir, now emotions, when we look at from Buddhist perspective, so emotion, whatever emotion we call simply happiness, sadness, anger, and whatever those are. So those are now normally when we are going through the cause and effect theory of Buddhism, normally emotions arise with the feeling, right? So then when we take the Paticcasamuppada contacts, because of the contacts arise feelings arise as tanha or the clinging, then arises whatever the action and everything. So now according to Lazarus theories also, he is talking about cognitive appraisal. So appraisal always, according to Buddhist perspective, appraisal come with delusion. Then with the delusion arises all emotion and everything. So therefore now by doing mindfulness, practicing whatever every things to reduce our emotions, just as the theory in Buddhism, this is simply change the contact. Now contact, as we already know that contact means we contact with external objectives, right? Now we have 6 senses. Now when we contact with external 6 objectives, they are with the cognition, feeling arises. Now when the feelings are there, we call all emotions are arising, happiness, sadness, and everything. So when we change the contact, definitely our emotions will be disappeared. So to change our contact, we practice all this mindfulness and whatever now, according to the Morita therapies and MBBSR and everything, we are trying to change the contact. There, when automatically our emotions will disappear. So therefore, if we can go through the cause and effect, we can see clearly that also to manage to our emotions. Simply if we can change our contact, there that emotions will not exist. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that is the basic theory on Buddhist perspective, to change the contact. When the contact is there for the emotions will be there. So when the contact is changed, emotions will be changed.
Yes. Thank you, Venerable Sir, for giving some insight. Some others want to give some ideas until, yes, Shanti is there. Okay. Yes, Bhante.
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, you can start.
Yes, I'm going to continue. Now, we are going to look at what the Buddha taught in dealing with difficult emotions. And after we finish this, it's going to be a short session. I'm going to open to discussion. because in discussion we learn a lot, and also we share. It's called Dhammasakacha, Etamangala Uttama. Discussing Dhamma at the right time is a blessing. So now we'll start with the, let me see, with the different ways of dealing with difficult emotions. I coined this word, emotion management techniques, but of course in Buddhism, we are really not managing. But I just wanted to appeal to Western audience. But really, I would say emotion healing techniques. Yes, that's what I would say. But I'm throwing the word management, but I want to let you know that I'm the one who coined it. They are like management. When I was giving these methods, drawing from the Buddha, and I call them EMT. So the first time I was teaching this, it was in the United States, and those terms are more palatable to them, like management, to mirror what the Western people are doing. So, but let's say emotion healing techniques, or methods, in other words. This is based on the four foundation of mindfulness, Mahasatipatthana Sutta or Satipatthana Sutta, and we see this in the scriptures. So the first, and I think the most effective one, is mindfulness of six best senses, or sense restraint. This is very effective in that you can disengage yourself from the emotion itself before it arises. Before even it arises. That's what the Buddha was trying to teach, that be mindful when you see something. Just become aware of seeing. Just by becoming aware of seeing, then you don't go all the way to the reaction, whether you like it or not. So you don't go to all those areas where you're going to something and say, oh, I don't like it, I like it. Because, oh, I don't know. Because this kind of liking is like greed, don't like is aversion, and I don't know is ignorance. So by just at the moment of seeing and just become aware of seeing, so you are short-circuiting that process. In other words, you are not going through all the processes of reaction. So in hearing something, you just become aware of hearing, tasting, and so all the six senses. And that's what we find. These instructions the Buddha gave by here. In the seeing, there's only the seeing. In the hearing, there's only the heart. In other words, stop just on just seeing, hearing. Then that one is more of even preventative measure to prevent from difficult emotion to arise, because you just become aware at seeing. For me in Uganda here, when I just came to establish Buddhism in Uganda, people used to see me in robes. They say, oh, this is a Shaolin master. He's going to kick you. I'm going to a mental hospital. They say, oh, you look at him. He's going at the mental hospital. He's not dressed. I wasn't naked, but they say he's not dressed. For them, dressing means to put on a tie and a shirt and pair of trousers and shirts and all that. So then every time they pass these comments, I just become aware of hearing. It's amazing. Every time I walked around Kampala, people would just throw these catcalls and these bad comments. I just become aware of hearing. I'm telling you, these comments never made me angry at all. Because I was mindful of I'm at Six Senses. And then a few years later on down the road, I established the center. I brought my assistant and worked for 8 years. And one time my assistant called me. He called me and told me, Bante, I'm going to leave the temple. I said, why? Why are you going to leave the temple? He said, oh, your cousin called me a dog. I like you, Bante. I've been working for you for 8 years. I help you in the temple, but I'm going to leave the temple because your cousin called me a dog. I said, yeah, and you're leaving the temple? Yes, I'm going to leave right now. Where are you? I told him I'm in Kampala. Can you wait for me before you leave? He said, yes, I can wait, but yes, definitely I'm going. I'm going to leave the temple. I told him, are you a dog? He said, no, I'm not a dog. I said, well, then why are you leaving if you're not a dog? So that means my assistant, pastor, he actually didn't become mindful at the moment of hearing. For me, if you say I'm a dog, I just become aware of hearing. However, many times you say I'm a dog, I just become aware of hearing. Because that's all what's going on. The rest is interpretation. Interpretation, reaction, and then you create this difficult emotion for yourself. And before you know you're angry, and most people fight just because they are not mindful at the moment of six senses. That's why I like this practice of mindfulness at six senses, and we find it in the four foundation of mindfulness. This discourse, you find it in Digha Nikaya and also in Majjhima Nikaya. Now, another method that also really works now, following the four foundation of mindfulness, is mindfulness of the emotion itself. When you focus on emotion itself, when it arises, of course, it can arise even when, let's say, somebody says something and you forget to become aware of hearing, and maybe you didn't have enough mindfulness to know that, okay, this is just sound, just hearing, and then the anger arises. So you see the Buddha say, okay, yes, it has a reason. So now see if you can make it the object of your attention. In other words, make the difficult emotion the object of your focus, the object of your mindfulness. Right? So then you can become aware of anger or rage or anxiety. Now you are really dealing with it, right? You are really dealing with the emotion itself. Before, the other one is just the six senses. You have to be mindful at six senses. But here, if something you fail to really catch it at that moment, then it comes. Then you have now to use mindfulness of the emotion itself, and you become aware of it. Anger as it's arising. Most people, they really become aware of the trigger, and that's it becomes a problem. The trigger of anger or fear or whatever. So the problem with that is when you focus more on the trigger and the mind state itself, then you can't get more angry, yeah, because then you see the person. When you hear them talking, then you become angry. Then when you think of them, you get angry. Let's say if somebody made you angry, if you focus on the person, then you might miss the point here. Here is to focus on the mind itself, where the anger is coming from, where the fear is coming from. And that's very, very effective. The third one is the proper attitude. All this is part of mindfulness, but it's a way how to break it down for you. Even the way how actually Buddha did. Now, I'm just using exactly what the Buddha did, is to break it down for us, to have a proper attitude. In other words, not pushing it away, not indulging in it, not even ignoring it, but really just it's your attitude when this emotion arises. Because when sometimes they have fear, anger, the people develop improper attitudes. How do they do that? Is to justify it. Oh, I have a right to be angry. They justify, okay, this is my anger. Don't talk to me. I'm the one who's very angry. So in other words, the more you justify your position, the more you become more angry. So here the Buddha is telling us, develop a proper attitude. See that anger as something arising. In the statement, in the sutta itself, the Buddha said that be aware of this, that this is the mind state for further mindfulness and awareness. All right, for further mindfulness and awareness. So in other words, that's the proper attitude, but not, oh, this is this person made me angry. So there's no practice there. Yeah, if you just focus on the person, but look at the anger itself as a mind state, then you will start healing. Healing starts from there when you develop a proper attitude towards the emotion itself. So then part of the mindfulness practice again is to investigate the conditions for the arising, removal, and non-arising of anger. So we find in the sutta itself, what are the conditions for the arising of anger? Now we have to look at, let's say, are you paying wise attention or unwise attention to the theme of irritation? Of course, when you pay unwise attention to the theme of irritation, you get angry. So the Buddha is recommending us, if you want to heal from this emotion, you have to pay wise attention to the theme of loving kindness. Then you heal. If, let's say, emotion like attachment or greed is arising, here you look at, you investigate all the conditions for the rising of greed. And what are those conditions? Is paying unwise attention to the theme of beauty. Whenever we pay unwise attention to the theme of beauty, then, of course, desire is going to arise. So these are the things that you need to do in this practice. And, of course, for the removal of a particular emotions, then you know that, okay, it was removed because I paid wise attention to loving kindness. For the non-arising of emotion in the future, then that takes us to knowing that when I reach a certain stage of awakening, let's say first level of awakening, then doubt is not going to arise. Anger is not going to arise when I reach the third level of enlightenment. Because the second level, you just appease it, you attenuate it, you don't get rid of it altogether, get rid of it together, but you really reduce it on the second level of enlightenment. But on the third level of enlightenment, definitely you overcome anger and all these kind of things. So before that, you need to practice mindfulness. And the part number 5 here, we're talking about non-clinging to anything by way of I, mine, myself. This is what we find in a refrain of the 4 foundation of mindfulness, where the Buddha said, don't cling on anything in this world. We're not talking about the world like Sri Lanka and Uganda. We are talking about the world of the 5 agrees clinging. Don't cling on to them as this is mine, because that's craving. This is I, that's conceit. This is myself, that's wrong views. So the Buddha here is telling us to really let go of the wrong views we have around our worlds, our 5 aggregates subject to clinging. The way we cling on to them as I, myself, these are mental defilements which are called craving, conceit, and wrong views. So this is a way how to heal from these emotions using Buddha's teachings. So let's continue on to another way. Then we look at another discourse called the Sabbasava Sutta. That's again in the Majjhima Nikaya. The emotions or tends to be abandoned by seeing. This means paying wise attention to the Four Noble Truths. Restraining the 6 senses, as we've seen. Using the 4 requisites, the way how we use them. They can be a form of attachment, but if you use them properly, you can abandon our attachment towards this medicine, food, and all that. Then the 4th way is endurance. That means we endure unpleasant aspects like pain, weather, anger, thirst, ill-spoken words, and by also avoiding dangerous things, animals, and situations. By removing unwholesome states of mind, and also developing the 7 factors of enlightenment. So really, when you look at these methods, you can actually overcome difficult emotions by just really restraining or by avoiding altogether.
I think there is a connection issue. We'll see whether we can connect with Venerable again. Dear all, we'll wait a little more. We'll for around 5 minutes and see whether if we can reconnect with the Venerable. So stay connected.
So until Venerable is back, we can have discussion. Even our most Venerable Dhammaratana Thero is there, some other our staff members also there. All our students from Department of Counseling Psychology, especially Buddhist counseling and also treatment planning student. If you have anything, so you can give some feedback and suggestions and also start the discussion so we can use our time usefully. This no need to say in silence. So we can start some discussion here until Venerable is back. If not, within 10 minutes, we are going to conclude the session.
Yes, sir, as Bante said, so I don't know whether is it appropriate to talk like this. So I don't know. If someone is interested to something, that is okay. If no one there, I'll add something.
Yes. No, Bante, you can also add because
No, so now, as Bante said, that Lazarus theory, so cognitive appraisal is one of most important thing in happening in our mind. So because always we would like to give some values to things, what we see, what we hear, what we touch, no? So with the schemas, what we have in our mind, so always we value something.
okay, Bante is back. Yes, Bante.
Venerable sir, are you there?
Yes, it seems, Subhashini, that we can see in the participant list.
Yes, sir, he is there. But we can't hear him, I guess. I'm just wondering whether he has not unmuted the mic, or is that the
Yes.
case?
Bante,
Venerable, at the moment we can't hear you. If you can unmute your mic, please.
Yes. Yes. How about now?
Yeah, now
Okay.
it's audible. Thank you, Venerable.
Okay. Thank you. Now it's okay. It was hidden into the things I could not see it, but now I think I can continue. Vitakka Sutta is very common discourse on how to deal with difficult emotions, but I said it's very, very interesting discourse because it bears some similarities with Western psychology perspective on how to deal with your thoughts. And in CBT, there's what we call cognitive reconstruction. So in other words, you reconstruct your thoughts. It's amazing. The Buddha already had it in place. I don't know whether these people drew from this sutta, but it seems that it has a big, it has a bearing with this sutta when you look at Western perspectives. But let's go through it. I think most of you know it. It's in Majjhima Nikaya, and it gives about, I think there are 6 methods, 6 or 5. We are going to see them. Replacement methods. So here the Buddha said, conquer anger by non-anger, conquer evil by good, conquer miserliness by liberty, conquer a liar by truthfulness. In other words, this is in Dhammapada, but when you look at the teaching in this discourse, is talking about replacing unwholesome state of mind or thoughts with wholesome state of mind. So in other words, if you have greed, replace it with generosity. If you have anger, hatred, replace it with loving kindness. If you have cruelty, replace it with compassion. If you have, let's say, confusion, ignorance, you replace it with understanding and wisdom. This is a very common method that you can use when you are under the grip of difficult emotion. Of course, you need mindfulness to do that. If you don't have mindfulness, you are going to even to forget what you're going to replace. Because most people, when they're not mindful, they replace anger with anger. So they become more angry about being angry, and they become more angry. So they're replacing anger with anger. In other words, they're replacing unwholesome states with unwholesome states of mind. So in other words, they keep on building a big empire of difficult emotion. But when you have mindfulness and practice along with this discourse, then you are replacing with the opposite of that. When you are anger, replace with the opposite of anger, which is loving kindness, something like that. So those methods are given like this. Buddha doesn't say mindfulness of replacement, but it's understood that mindfulness has to be there in order to be effective while you're replacing it. Of course, he gives this similes you have read about replacing a new peg with an old peg. All right, so then we look at another method that is very effective. This is called reflection method. I call it 3D. You reflect in 3 areas. That's what I call 3D, which I found out in discourse actually. 3D doesn't mean 3 dimension. It means danger. With the first D means danger. You find it in Upali Sutta and in the Majjhima Nikaya. So you look at the Dharma say that danger is short by one word, one letter, D. So anger, danger. So whenever anger comes, you know that you're in danger. So you reflect along those lines, then maybe you're going to reduce this difficult emotion of anger. Another distance for degradation. Whenever you have anger, it degrades you. You're in the present life, you lower your status. In case as they say, you lose your handover. You lose the handle. I think it comes from a flying pan. In other words, you fly off the handle. That's the expression showing that you really get angry. You lose respect from others when you fly off the handle. So now, when you get angry in the present life, people don't want to associate with you. They say, oh, this is an angry person, so we don't want to deal with them. Actually, they try to avoid you. In other words, they always try to avoid an angry person. So you're degraded. In the future life, there's a downfall because anger offers the prospects of a rebirth in animal world or else in hell. So you can see when you look at those degradations, then you reflect actually. You reflect along those lines. Then you might give up the difficult emotion. You might heal from them because you did some kind of reflection. Then I told you 3D. The third D pertains to defilement. And again, this is found in the Upali Sutta, where actually when you give in, let's say in a situation, you give in and you become angry. What happens, it starts building up. It even becomes stronger next time you get angry, you become even more angry because it keeps on building on. It has what we call a multiplier effect on the difficult emotion. Here I'm giving an example of anger because we have to give examples. So now, when you're angry, let's say for the first time, they say 10%. I'm just giving arbitrary figures. 10% angry, a little bit of irritation, 10%. If you do really get angry, what happens next time? It may not be the same event, but similar event that trigger you to be angry. You are going to get even more, maybe 15%. Again, you give in, you become more angry. Then another event comes, you keep on building on it. That's what it means. The more you become angry, the more it defiles the mind. So once you reflect along those lines, actually what this difficult emotion will lose some grip, because you know that you are the one to suffer, you know. It's like people who drive cars and they're driving, they say police, they reflect, oh, I'm going to get a ticket. Recently, I was in the United States, in Texas, during Katina celebrations. So we went to attend different Katina ceremonies. And I heard that if they catch you overspeeding on the highway, minimum ticket is $300. So now when you are driving on such a road that, and you know that you are overspeeding, you reflect on how you're going to get a ticket of $300. And actually you lose also points, not only money. You lose points. At some stage, they can even withdraw your driving license. So when you reflect on the danger of all what you have to go through, in my example of driving, then you have to reduce the speed. You don't want to go through all those problems, you know. So the same thing when you reflect along those lines about the danger, defilement, and degradation, then you can heal from anger. That's the second method, Nivita Sutta. The third method is redirection method. That means you redirect your mind to something else which less anger provocative. This could take a shape of taking a deep breath and maintain a focus on something like can bring you some calmness. Right? This is something I do, actually. I do when I feel that my mind is misdirected. I always try to come back to the breath, come to the breath, come to the breath, come to the body, be mindful of the body, be mindful of the body. In a larger picture, it might mean to take a walk in nature or repeat some qualities of the Buddha. Itipiso Bhagava Araham Sama Sambuddha Vijayatana Sampano Sugatoroka Viduano Taropi Sadama Saradi Satadeva Manusana Buddha Bhagavati. Okay, when the anger comes, you can even reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, something that will inspire you, right? So at that time, you actually buy time. You remember when I was talking about the physiological effects of stress? And in that picture, when I told you parasympathetic nerve system and sympathetic nerve system. So when you are reciting the quality of the Buddha, you get faith and the confidence, and then you can get joy. And so now the mind, when it has joy and happiness, is not an area where you feel greed, anger or whatever. You feel happy and joy. When you do that, actually, it can heal because you're focusing on something awesome. You can chant the qualities of the Dhamma or any sutta, Karaniya Metta Sutta. Do something that's wholesome. And now that way you are redirecting your mind somewhere else, and which is less anger provocative or not even anger provocative at all. So that method works also. The fourth way is retracing method. That means you go back the springboard. What are the springboards? The Buddha said this is from Dhammapada. The Buddha said from craving arises fear, from passion arises fear. Where there's no craving, there is no fear. In other words, you look backwards. Let's say, I'm having this difficult emotion. Where is it coming from? So that requires a little bit of study Buddhism so that you know the psychological underpinning of a difficult emotion. So you know the root of the emotion. If you know the root, actually that helps. Oh, I'm afraid because of my attachment to something. Maybe I'm attached to my views. Let's say you share a certain view and then you become angry and somebody provokes you. And then you get angry, or then you say, why am I angry? You can say, Then you say, oh, I'm angry because of this, because of my attachment to the future. Even if fear can be traced to attachment or craving, you fear to go somewhere or something like that. Then why do you have fear? Maybe I'm attached to this. So really find out the springboard. Actually, you should read these phrases. They're from Dhammapada, verse 212 until 216. You can find out the psychological underpinning behind some emotions. Here, I'm just giving only one. From craving arises fear. So whenever you have a difficult emotion such as fear, try to find out what is the root of this. You'll find it, and you find out your cravings for something. So that also helps. I remember when I was in Thailand, I wanted to see ghosts. In Uganda, they told me about ghosts that I've never seen them. Every time I ask people, have you seen a ghost? They said, no. Somebody told me that there is a ghost. I've never seen it myself. So when I went to Thailand for a conference, I said, let me fly to northern Thailand. And I had a friend to see there. And during my discussion, the friend told me, oh, here there's a ghost here. I've seen a ghost. I said, are you kidding? He said, yes. I said, please take me. So I was there sitting there. And it was about 10 p.m. at night, very dark. I'm telling you, sitting in a forest. I'm telling you, branches start breaking. And I said, this is the real ghost carry. Then when fear came, I said, why am I afraid of this ghost now? I'm the one who wanted to see it, but now it seems real, it's coming. But fear starting arising, fearing of lion, but now even not fear of ghosts. I heard about lions in the forest in Thailand. So memories of these lions coming to see the monks sitting in meditation. I thought maybe these are lions and ghosts and many things I thought of. I said, why am I afraid about these animals? Maybe I'm craving to be alive. Then I say, oh, even if they come and eat me, well, that will be the last part of my life, but I'll be reborn again. I'll be born again and again. So then that kind of craving to be alive, say, well, I can upgrade my existence. I go to the next life. Maybe I have a better existence. So then there was no craving to live that particular moment. And then I felt there was no fear. I was ready to face whatever was breaking the trees, whatever it is. But anyway, it turned out there was no ghost, there was no tiger, there was nothing. So I've never used that method before to trace why I have the fear in front of this situation of breaking trees and all that. Finally, the fifth method is called resolution. It's a resolution method. The Buddha didn't say method. I gave different words, but I put these words to make it clear for you. This is actually a dhatthana, making a dhatthana, determination, to really overcome a difficult emotion at hand. In other words, you make stronger, use all the efforts. This time you used efforts, all the efforts that you have, the willpower you have to overcome the difficult emotion. Of course, when you read the Bhairabhaya Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, the Bodhisattva, before he became a Buddha, firmly determined not to change even his posture until fear subsided. Can you make such a determination? I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to move here until this difficult emotion subsides or heals. So these are 5 ways of dealing with difficult emotions. And we're going to see the Noble Eightfold Path. Of course, the Noble Eightfold Path, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. All those are methods to deal with difficult emotions. Like even right understanding, you identify the emotion, know its cause, find the solution, and the way to the solution. So right thoughts of generosity opposes the difficult emotion of greed. Metta, loving kindness, opposes difficult emotions of hatred and its cousins like aversion. And compassion, of course, overcomes cruelty. So is speech and action and all that. So all those methods you can use to deal with difficult emotions. Right mindfulness, we've been talking about it. Even right concentration. You focus your mind, then you overcome 5 hindrances. These are difficult emotions you can overcome through concentration, even when you attain jhanas, the deep meditative concentration states. So right effort, the effort to overcome difficult emotions, effort to develop them, effort to prevent them. So we have already discussed these prevention methods, like even mindfulness of six sense bases. So these methods are very effective. Finally, the 4 divine abidings, that means metta, loving kindness, compassion, the Brahma Viharas. You can cultivate metta, loving kindness to heal from anger. You can cultivate compassion to heal from cruelty, and cultivate appreciative joy to heal from envy and jealousy. You can practice equanimity to heal from attachment and cruelty. This is my conclusion. And we have time to discuss, which is good, actually, to have time for discussion. Having explored the theme on healing difficult emotions from both Western psychology and Buddhist psychological perspective, it becomes abundantly clear that the Buddhists seek to heal difficult emotion, not as an end in itself, but as a way to transform difficult emotion into opportunities for cultivating gladness, joy, calmness, happiness, concentration, wisdom, awakening, and final liberation. However, the Western perspective is one which treats difficult emotion. Here I'm talking about treating as opposed to healing, with the difference that you can ask later, which treats difficult emotion by reducing or removing them for the well-being and change in behaviors, not so much for the purpose of enlightenment. That's not the main focus, Nibbana. But it seems for us, when we deal with difficult emotion, we deal with it knowing that there's a final goal. But I should also say that both perspectives, that means Western perspective and Buddhist perspective in healing from difficult emotion, have a common thread that they share. They're all establishing what we call well-being, at least in the present moment. That one, there's a common ground. But we can see Buddhist perspective, they go beyond the just present time. We look at how we can heal these emotions so that they don't arise in the present time and in the future. And of course, for even attaining enlightenment, final enlightenment. So in other words, I can see the Buddhist perspective on healing from difficult emotion as a larger picture, whereby it really focuses on the Buddha's teaching of the present life, next life, and of course, subsequent life. In other words, ultimate goal, reaching the ultimate goal of enlightenment. So that's in the focus as we practice it. Probably about all Buddha's teaching, that's the focus. But of course, we get what we call bonus. We get many benefits when we practice. We get calmness in the present life. We get well-being. We change our behavior. So, in other words, Buddhist perspective really is oriented to a deeper goal, not just the present life, how we can be happy and change our behaviors. So I think that's my understanding, and I see Western perspective on emotion. I see the really detail. There are many details on classification and breaking it down and analysis, and also that we find it in Abhidhamma, Buddhist psychology. We find it, but as we really focus on the sutta themselves, doesn't go so much details in these emotions, but it offers methods which are very effective to really heal from them. Not so much just analyzing what emotions and when and that. So we really, when to come to the methods themselves, they really are leading to a deeper goal. So I can see, though in the suttas it's so limited in analysis, than the Western psychology. But still, if we are to draw from the Abhidhamma Buddhist psychology, then we can really see and sparsity, very well detailed analysis of the emotions. Thank you very much for listening. And I'd like to open it to a discussion or answer question and answer session. Discussions really very much welcome. Thank you very much for listening to me. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. I'm going to stop sharing the screen because then we can see all people.
Thank you very much, Venerable.
Yes.
Yeah, students and staff members and audience, yes, it's time for you to ask questions and have the discussion with the Venerable. Yes, I invite you all to raise questions and clarify your doubts.
Yes, Bhante, thank you very much for being given a very nice talk. And also, I would like to invite to share your, like, when you have the very bad time, assassinate things which you have in your life. So just give us, our student, just a little bit of that story.
Yeah, thank you very much for asking this question. Before I came to SIBA, I had a big event in my life that I never expected to happen. And it happened just a year before I came to SIBA. I came to SIBA 2011. So this event happened in 2010. And that made me actually that event of attempted murder led me to come to Sri Lanka because I knew it's a Buddhist country and I know that I would be safe than here. So that's they say that every cloud has a silver lining. So this event happened to me. It shook my life and say, what can I do for my life that I've never done before? I say, yes, I've never studied Buddhism properly. I've studied it in a monastery with my teacher, Bhante Gunaratana, but I never really went into deep in Pali, a different subject, and had always wanted to do that. But because of the temple in Uganda, I was so busy, because of teaching, because people are inviting me to many places to teach. So I never really got time for myself to really study a bachelor's degree in Buddhist studies. I used to go to conferences and I see monks from Thailand, from Sri Lanka. They have masters, they have PhD in Buddhism. I say, wow, I'm teaching around the world. I'm teaching at Stanford University. I'm teaching different places, but I don't have these qualifications. So I said, no, I never got a chance to really study. No time to study in other words. But with this event, I said, no, I can't stay in Uganda. So this event happened like this. In 2010, they had in Uganda, there was some kind of political instability. In this political instability, we had general elections coming up, and there was a lot of violence. They were burning police stations. They were very violent. People throwing stones. They're removing signs that are taking us to Buddhist Center. I used to put signs, Uganda Buddhist Center signs along with the road. They would remove them. And then we are expecting a lot of violence because of you know what happens with the African politics during the national elections. So now, we decided that we go to a security company to protect us from this violence that was coming up. Because in Kenya it happened, which is our neighboring countries, they killed so many people, they burned many buildings, and here it was starting to happen, burning buildings. And for us, because the first temple in Uganda and still the only temple in Uganda, we knew that it's going to be a target. So, because people don't know what we are doing, they don't know this religion and all this. So now we got a security guard And he used to come sometime with a baton, sometime with a radio, sometime with a gun. So he came and stayed here for a while, paying him to protect us. One night, I was out just about 8 p.m. I was trying to see what the work, because the day was so busy. I was trying to see the work being done around the temple, like they were making a veranda. So the guy came up, I was a security guard. I said, "Where are you? Kirare, where are you?" Because he's the one who's guarding us, he's protecting us. So I'm calling him so that he's not afraid of me. He knows that I'm outside. When I called him, he came out. That time he had a gun. He said, "Oh, Venerable, how are you?" I said, "Well, I'm fine." He asked me, "Please, can you remove this light?" Because I had got a light from USA, which was shining, flooding on the temple. He came up with a story. He said, "Can you remove this light? People will steal it from here." I said, "No." Then he told me to remove another one. Also, I said, "No." So then, after seeing the veranda, I started walking back to the temple. As soon as I reached in front of the temple, the doors, just in front of the Buddha, the guy came running and said, "You man," and shot at me. So the bullet, I didn't see it because it was dark. The bullet passed here like this, and then it hit the temple door, which is glass, and all glasses came back to me. Luckily, the bullet didn't hit me, but all the glasses shattered, and I still have even scars. And all my shirt was torn and robes full of blood. So then I ran inside the temple and again went to my room, and then I went by the sitting. I even wrote a book, actually. I'm sure you still have it in Siba, the whole story. So then I was there and sitting, and because I had him coming and I knew that he's coming after me, but actually nobody was coming. I was just running to safety. And after a few minutes, I called and one of our devotees, and then he came and started breaking the door. I said, "Don't break the door. Just go through the window. Don't break the doors." And then he came and hit me to come out of the ceiling. When I came out of the ceiling, I called the police, and it took 45 minutes to come, and the police came and took me to the police station to make statement. But the blood pressure was so high, so they took me to hospital, and then gave me some medicine to reduce the pressure, because this gun is so loud. It has only one bullet. So then once I did the statement, I slept there in a hotel, and because I could not come back to the temple because it's so dangerous. So then next day, the police came to the temple. They found the guy had left the gun there with the uniform, and he had run away. So then that's the time I had to apply everything I had learned in Buddhism. This is called application. So I said, well, how am I going to deal with this incident? I'm innocent. I didn't do anything to the security guard. How can I forget this guy? So anyway, we looked for him for 3 days. Finally, they catch him, and then the police called me. He said, "Do you see this guy? He's the one who was actually tried to kill you." So I saw him, but they told me don't take pictures. So he was in prison for a long time, detention, jail. So then I decided to leave. 6 days I went to USA because I was teaching a retreat in California. After that, I decided not to go to Uganda. I went to Switzerland for 1 month to heal from that. And then I wrote a book that helped me to heal. That's called Bibliotherapy, I think, to write a book about the incident. And I felt relieved. When I wrote the book, I felt so relieved because the story was there in my book. It's a cartoon book. And then I said, I'm going to give this copy to this guy. So I practiced forgiveness for 1 month. Every time I was saying, forgive this guy. A lot of emotions were coming, like fear to go back to Uganda. But at that time I was in Switzerland. I said, well, Uganda is my country. Let me work on healing difficult emotions. Because what I teach there is what I practice. So then I tried to use the Vipassana Sutta, how to replace, how to reflect, and all that. And then I felt every day I was feeling better. And then I returned to Africa. So that's how I did. The guy was caught. I decided to seek admissions to USA. They gave me admission, but I said no. I want to go to Sri Lanka because my teacher was coming from Sri Lanka, Bhante Gunaratana. I said, let me come to Sri Lanka and do what I did and never did because I didn't have time. Here I am, I have time. Now I can't go back to the temple in Uganda. Let me spend my time in Sri Lanka. So I came in Siva 2011 and I did a diploma in Buddhist counseling and I started counseling myself. And actually that diploma did a big help for me because I was not just doing it to get a paper in diploma in Buddhist counseling. Everything Sarat Matia was teaching me was actually counseling myself how to heal from this trauma. So thank you very much. That's how that's what happened in Uganda, and that's how I dealt with it.
Thank you, Bhante. Yes, others, please, if you have any kind of comments, feedback. Our student, yes.
So we have a very, very interesting person here. I'm the mentor of one of the people here. He joined the Zoom. Is from England. I've seen here. It's called Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah, Stephen. Hi. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I didn't know that he would join. It's called Stephen.
And Bhante, I would like to ask some question. This is good for our student. So how is the possibility of doing postgraduate studies in psychology or counseling in US and all these Western countries? What are the, our student is getting the opportunities? Because now we have the BA general degree and they are doing counseling psychology as a subject. So there are like 7 subjects. They can select 3, like Pali, Buddhist studies, management studies, IT, English, counseling, psychology, and global studies. So out of 7, they can select 3. Many of the students are doing the counseling psychology. So if they go for the post graduation and also, please give some information for them.
Yes, actually, the first place I went to, I found out they were doing this counseling. Australia was a very good place because
Padma Siddhi Silva, yes,
Silva,
yeah.
Yes. I spent a big chunk of my time in Australia, and I found out they had good programs. And he had gone back to study also psychology. So Australia is good at that, and I will share some information in the future where that institute is, where they do this counseling. Really, they have a very, very good program. Apart from Australia, UK also is very good. I think Karuna Institute. You see the Karuna Institute during my presentation. You can do some counseling, but also in the places like USA. Like Buddhist universities, two universities I know that definitely will be a very fertile soil for the continuation of those programs. One is University of the West, because these are Buddhist universities in USA. They may not say Buddhist university, but actually there are programs in what we call Masters of you can study Master of Divinity, and then you go in that area. Yeah, because being a Buddhist university, it helps. That's in California, and I can share the address and all these things. And then another university that I found out that you can explore this is called Naropa University. Is in Boulder, California. So they are very good program, and definitely when I send this information, you can go on their website and look at what they offer. Because also this Master of Divinity, it prepares people to be counselors, to work in the hospitals, right? So at least those things I can give. Where I am now, where I'm a visiting professor at Columbia University. The people they take, the student I'm teaching, they're called a master, they're taking Master of Divinity, and they take what we call interreligious engagement. So in this interreligious engagement, I teach them Buddhist ethics. Like now, I go there in New York in January to teach the 4th foundation of mindfulness. And at some stage in the semester, I can decide to teach Buddhist counseling. Yeah, so basically that university also is good prospects of doing a Master of Divinity, because with the Master of Divinity, you can get these subjects. But again, most of the universities, like for instance, Yale University, you can do what you call a Master of Divinity, but there's a lot of focus on what you call Christian studies, not so much Buddhist studies. So that's why I would recommend already a university which has a Buddhist studies section, like California, USL. It's called University of California, Los Angeles. They have Buddhist studies. Any place where they have Buddhist studies, it can be good. But more so, I think that what I recommend mostly is the University of Hong Kong also. University of Hong Kong, I think they have a very good department of counseling, given that some marathoners there and other people, I think they have a very good program also, but I haven't checked for a long time. Yeah, but we'll be in touch if there's somebody very interested. I'll be very happy to be very resourceful. Just provide the information by email. Uganda Buddhist Center email. You can always email you at www.ugandabuddhistcenter.org. You can Google if you don't know the email, and you go to the website of our temple, and then you see our website. Gmail account is called email. It's a Gmail account. We have ugandabuddhistcenter@gmail.com. And sorry, Uganda Buddhist Center at gmail.com. That's our email. And then you say, Bante, which university that I should go in Australia? I'll be happy to be very resourceful, because I was in touch with Professor Padmasri, who's a Sri Lankan, and I know the place where he studied Buddhist counseling, and they can certify and give a certification.
Thank you, Bante. Yes, any students?
One thing I need to say, if you go for Buddhist chaplains, these courses in the UK, there's a Sri Lankan who's heading this department, Buddhist chaplains. Those things, when you do such things, you really stumble over counseling with the subjects you are taking. Whenever there's Master of Divinity or Buddhist chaplains, courses like this. In the UK also there is headed by Buddhists. So you can always ask me specific information by emailing me.
Okay. Thank you, Bante.
I wish the course was there. I wish the course was there when I was there. When I was there, it was a diploma. If it was there, I would have did that course, because I needed to learn more counseling method for myself before I counsel others, because of the incidents in Uganda. But I'm so glad that you have a whole course like that, degree course for that. I'm so happy for Siba University to have this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work, Sarat Mahathir, because I know how things have been coming up. I'm very grateful for pioneering this kind of thing. You inspire me a lot, actually, for that in that field. Yes.
Yes. Any student?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Dear Reverend Sir and our sir and everyone. Yes, actually, it was a very good presentation, and though there were some interruption, connection issues, the whole presentation was actually very good one. And last few minutes, we have heard about many stories regarding Buddhist and Buddhism and everything, but they were not actually, as we think, they were not a real one. But today we heard a very good real one about you. And we are so happy after facing many incidents like that, you are here with us. Actually, Bante, you will be able to do many services to the whole world, and we wish them. Actually, it was very good, Bante, and thank you very much sharing your experiences and other things with us, and for organizing this kind of events. I Thanks, ourselves and everyone in the counseling department of the Ziba campus. Thank you very much, everyone. Dear Bhante. May Triple Gem bless you. Good night.
You're welcome. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you, Shalita, for giving the feedback. So any other comments, feedback or questions?
Bhante, I am from Kandy, Reverend Dhammaratana. So I also joined with you today. So yeah, it was really worthy presentation. So therefore, thank you very much. Then we wish you a future project maybe come through and finally attend Nibbana in this.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Venerable Dhammaratana. So, Bhante Udarakita Dhammaratana, Bhante is from Australia, Melbourne, and also he completed our diploma in Buddhist counseling and higher diploma in Buddhist counseling. He was with us for the 2 years due to the COVID situation, and he's planning to go back to Australia. So if you visit there, so you can also visit his temple in Melbourne.
Already he knows the temples because my teacher was there with him, Paramita Buddhist temple.
Oh.
Small world. Small world. Thank you for invitation.
Yes. So
Yes.
anything is there, our students?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Rohanta.
Yeah. So thank you very much for you, and also especially Bhante Buddharakita Thero. And it was a really great presentation. I really enjoyed the first time when I joined for these sessions, like after a while. And especially I like to give my grateful thanks for the 5 methods that we can use like daily, like practically, and it's a really productive way and show up us. And I have one question, that how we use that negative emotions in a productive way, in a positive way. Like, can you show like simple methods? So I like to ask from Bhante Buddharakita Thero. And my grateful thanks for the great lesson today, and especially the 5 methods that we can use for every day and always. Thank you.
Yes, of course, a negative emotion like fear can be productively used by not going where lines are. So when fear comes, then you know it's negative, but it's stopping you from going to where lines are, stopping you from going without a mask. Yes, so when that fear comes, okay, I'm going to get COVID, and then actually that's negative, but it's reminding you, and then you say, okay, I'm going to put on a mask. Yes, that's a negative emotion can remind you of danger, and then but of course you don't stay with that fear. You actually know that, okay, fear of reason that I might get COVID, and then, okay, where is my mask? Then you look for the mask and put it on. And to that extent, that fear has served you. And also you have responded to it, and then put on a mask. Then you're not going to go to the public without a mask. But of course, that's when it's negative. But of course, when it's positive, then when you look at emotion, part of it is to motivate you. Maybe a fear of failure, it can motivate you to work hard. And then you can do more study, and then positively you can progress. Yeah, and also fear of health, you eat good foods. But of course, the fear that the Buddha was trying to tell us, for instance, hiri otapa, moral fear and moral dread. This can help you to overcome, not do something because you know that it's going to shame you, and also you're afraid of the consequences. So that's a positive emotion. And the Buddha even said that they are protecting the world. This hiri and otapa, they are positive emotion that actually protect the world from actually collapsing down. If there's no this hiri otapa, the whole world will collapse. That's why the Buddha said that this is what protects the world. Fear of wrongdoing, because you know that it's very shameful. Somebody like you who's Buddhist and you are doing this, and it's shameful, and also the consequences of that doing something what you're doing, the consequences will be very bad. So then we know that that one will definitely serve you very well, because you're not going to do something wrong, because you have more Hili or Tapa. So that's what I can give in a short.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable sir, shall I, Sarath sir, shall I add some Western input, Western psychological input to it?
Sure.
Yes, I think what Venerable Buddharakkhita Thero said was in Western perspective, it is from a evolutionary point of view. So these are emotions, according to evolutionary perspective, these emotions have a survival purpose in it. So just like Venerable very nicely explained, these emotions tell us what are dangerous things, what are good things to do, good things in a sense, what promotes our survival and what demotes our survival. So if we listen to these emotions properly, it will help us to preserve ourselves, just like as Venerable said. If we go towards the lion, yes, we are done. Yeah, but they are the fear that we get towards the lion, because by seeing the lion, the generated fear gives us the message: run away, survive, go for, like, look for the survival. So listening to that, of course, promotes our survival. At the same time, in a cognitive perspective, if we look at it, they are re-evaluating our thought related to the emotion helps us to see whether our thought is actually proportionate, realistic enough. Imagine, let's say, we see some innocent, let's say, an ant, or let's say cockroach. Yes, having a disgust or having some fear towards it might be proportionate. But if we are overreacting to it, if we are experiencing an overwhelming emotion to this type of experiences, it is really important to re-evaluate our thought behind these emotions to see whether our thoughts are realistic enough. And if we can, just like Venerable stated in his talk, if we can reconstruct these thoughts which are not realistic and leading to disproportionate emotional responses, then that helps us to work in a positive, constructive, functional way. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Yes.
It's okay then. I think, is there anyone to say something? So we are going to wind up the session. So today, most venerable reflectors, Bhante Buddharakkhita, Bhante Dhammaratana, and all other our students and colleagues. So today is one of the very great opportunity for us to invite one of our students to do this presentation on mindfulness and also about the emotion. So Bhante, we are very grateful to you on behalf of the Sri Lanka International Buddhist Academy. Thank you very much for being taken our invitation to do this program. So I highly appreciate your time while you have busy schedules, and thank you very much for being here and giving a great presentation on these emotions. Thank you, Venerable Sir. We are hoping to get you a service in the future also, especially whenever we conduct the session. So we like you to invite for our sessions. And also, you know that we are very happy to announce that this time we got the UN Volunteer Award for the SIBA, whatever we have done for the long time for the social service. So we got award on 7th. They are giving award ceremony. So I'm planning to go and receive the award on behalf of the SIBA. And thank you very much, Bhante, and also for this organizing, Subhashini. She was one of our great lecturer in the Department of Counseling Psychology and former coordinator. And thank you very much, Subhashini, for moderating this session. And then Hansi, Dilini, all our other Venerable Dhammaratana also given some kind of feedback and engaged with the discussion. Shalita, Rohanta, So thank you very much for giving your comments here. So Bante, now on behalf of the SIPA, I am gratitude to you and also to everyone. Thank you very much and good night. So we conclude the session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Turan sir.
Thank you very much, Venerable.
Thank you, sir.